What's good, basketball family? Welcome back to the channel. If you love real women's basketball stories, honest breakdowns, and moments that go deeper than the box score, you're in the right place. Make sure you like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe, because today's story is one that shook the women's college basketball world. South Carolina losing to Oklahoma wasn't just another loss on the schedule. It was a moment that forced reflection, accountability, and a powerful response from one of the game's greatest coaches, Dawn Staley. South Carolina entered the matchup carrying the weight of expectations. This is a program built on dominance, discipline, and championship standards. Every opponent circles them on the calendar. Every game is treated like a measuring stick. Against Oklahoma, the Gamecocks expected to impose their will, control the tempo, and walk out with another statement win. Instead, they ran into a team that played fearless basketball from the opening tip. From early in the game, something felt off. South Carolina didn't look as sharp defensively. Rotations were a step late. Communication broke down in moments where it normally shines. Oklahoma sensed it immediately and attacked with confidence, pushing the pace and refusing to back down. Each possession chipped away at South Carolina's control, and with every missed assignment, the pressure mounted. As the game tightened, Oklahoma's belief grew. Shots started falling, energy in the building rose, and suddenly South Carolina found itself fighting uphill. When the game pushed into overtime, the momentum had already shifted. Oklahoma played loose, aggressive, and connected. South Carolina played tense, trying to force control instead of letting it flow. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard told a story few expected. South Carolina had been beaten. The walk to the locker room said everything. There was no arguing, no loud frustration spilling onto the floor. Players filed in quietly, heads down, fully aware that this wasn't just a bad night. It was a reality check. The locker room atmosphere was heavy, the kind of silence that makes you sit with the truth whether you want to or not. Dawn Staley didn't rush to speak. She didn't storm in with anger or raise her voice. She let the moment breathe. That pause mattered. Every player already knew what went wrong. They didn't need emotion. They needed clarity. And when Staley finally addressed the team, the message wasn't dramatic, but it was direct and uncomfortable. The message wasn't about Oklahoma outworking them. It wasn't about missed shots or bad calls. It was about standards. About habits. About the difference between being talented and being disciplined. Staley made it clear that championship teams don't turn urgency on and off. They don't rely on reputation. They don't wait until things get uncomfortable to respond. She challenged the idea that effort alone is enough. At this level, effort is expected. What separates champions is attention to detail, consistency, and accountability on every possession. The loss wasn't framed as a failure, but as evidence that there was work to be done. Honest work. Hard work. The kind that doesn't show up in highlights but wins titles in March and April. Publicly, Staley stayed true to her leadership style. She gave Oklahoma credit for executing and playing with confidence. She acknowledged South Carolina had things to clean up. But what stood out most was what she didn't do. She didn't protect the team from criticism. She didn't make excuses. Her calm, measured tone made the message even stronger. It signaled that the real conversation had already happened behind closed doors. This loss hit differently because South Carolina knows what championship basketball feels like. They know what it takes to reach the top, and they know how thin the margin is between dominance and vulnerability. That's why this moment mattered. It wasn't about one game in January. It was about identity, focus, and whether this team is willing to hold itself to the same standard that built the program. Dawn Staley understands that losses can either divide a team or sharpen it. This one was designed to sharpen. It forced players to look inward, to ask hard questions about effort, discipline, and commitment. It stripped away comfort and reminded everyone that rankings don't win games. Preparation does. What happens next will define South Carolina's season. How they practice. How they communicate. How they respond when things don't go their way. Great teams don't just bounce back with a win. They grow. They adjust. They recommit to the details that matter when pressure rises. This wasn't a story about a coach losing control. It was about a coach reinforcing culture. A reminder that excellence is earned daily, not assumed. Oklahoma didn't just beat South Carolina on the scoreboard. They challenged their identity. And Dawn Staley's response made one thing clear. If this team wants to reach its goals, this loss won't break them. It will shape them. Before we wrap this up, Take a second and really think about what this moment means. Losses like this don't define a season on their own, responses do. South Carolina didn't just lose a game to Oklahoma, they were reminded that championship standards don't care about rankings, hype, or past success. And with a coach like Dawn Staley, you know this moment is being used as fuel, not frustration. This is the kind of loss that can quietly change everything. It forces honest conversations. It tightens focus. It separates players who are comfortable from players who are committed. And if history has taught us anything, it's that Dawn Staley-led teams usually come back stronger when they're challenged like this. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this loss will push South Carolina to another level, or does it expose real cracks that could show up again later in the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, share the video with another basketball fan, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next story. Because the season isn't slowing down, the pressure is only rising, and South Carolina's response is about to tell us everything we need to know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.